From Public Radio International, this is The World. A co-production of the BBC World Service, PRI, and WGBH Boston. It's Wednesday, June 9th. I'm Marco Werman. We've heard about the government's response to the spill in the Gulf, but what can you do? Also, call it soccer, football, or footy, the World Cup is almost here. Actually, for some Americans, it does matter what you call it.
We call them the Euro snobs because right away they're calling it the pitch, or the gaffer, or a brace, or a clean sheet. And I'm saying, I played professionally for 20 years with Pele, and you're telling me I'm not allowed to call it soccer? It's bizarre.
Now this news.
BBC News with Sue Montgomery. The United Nations Security Council has adopted new sanctions against Iran because of its nuclear activities. 12 members, including China and Russia, voted in favour. Brazil and Turkey voted against, while Lebanon abstained. Barbara Plett reports from the UN.
The vote for sanctions came 18 months after the American President Barack Obama promised a new strategy of engagement with Iran. Yet it was the United States which really pushed for this punishing resolution. Its UN ambassador, Susan Rice, stressed that Washington had made every effort to achieve a diplomatic solution, blaming Iran for the failure of the policy. The sanctions are tough, but fall short of what Western nations wanted because of pressure from Iran's allies, Russia and China. However, they do open the way for stronger measures by the US and European states.
Reacting to the vote, President Obama said the sanctions sent an unmistakable message about the international community's commitment to stopping the spread of nuclear weapons.
These are the most comprehensive sanctions that the Iranian government has faced. They will impose restrictions on Iran's nuclear activities, its ballistic missile program, and for the first time, its conventional military. They will put a new framework in place to stop Iranian smuggling and crack down on Iranian banks. And we will ensure that these sanctions are vigorously enforced.
But the Iranian President, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, said the new sanctions should be, as he put it, thrown in the dustbin. The Iranian envoy to the International Atomic Energy Agency, Ali Asghar Soltanieh, said Iran will not halt its uranium enrichment program in response to the new sanctions. President Obama has described the humanitarian conditions in the Gaza Strip as unsustainable. He was speaking after talks in Washington with the Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas, who called for an end to the Israeli blockade in Gaza. Mr. Obama said the Americans were planning a big aid package for the Palestinians. Kim Gattas reports.
President Barack Obama has acknowledged that Washington's policy towards Gaza over the last 3 years has not worked. The US has supported Israel's blockade of Gaza, not only out of concern for Israel's security, but also as a way to isolate the radical group Hamas, which controls Gaza. But Mr. Obama has now said a better approach is needed, and he called for a new conceptual framework for the 3-year-old blockade. He did not give further details, but he did announce a package of aid for the Palestinians, both in the West Bank and in Gaza. The money will be channeled through the UN and US aid agencies.
The government of Cuba has told the United Nations Special Rapporteur on Torture that he cannot visit the island, reversing an invitation issued last year. The visit by Manfred Novak was to have been the first by an independent UN expert to specifically monitor torture and other cruel treatment. He expressed regret at the withdrawal of the invitation. World News from the BBC. The Russian government is proposing a big increase in the tax on alcohol, which could double the minimum price of vodka over the next 2 years. As part of a campaign to reduce excessive drinking in a country where 2 million people are officially classified as alcoholics. However, drinks companies have warned that it could lead to a big increase in illegal alcohol production. The head of the United States effort to tackle the giant oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico